MV3 Traders Futures Trade Radio is brought to you by The Ultimate Trader's Guide, your one-stop shop for the most valuable income-producing information on the internet. Go to ultimatetradersguide.net to learn more. Link in the description below. Alright, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Like, my computer's lagging a little bit. I got a lot of stuff running at one time. I have changed up the last, it's been a while since we had a Futures Trade Radio with Monday being a holiday. So, I have kind of changed some things around with my setup. So it could be, I'm using multi-charts now instead of trading view, and I think multi-charts is not trading view. I'm using multi-charts instead of NinjaTrader, and I think multi-charts is more resource intensive than NinjaTrader. It's because of the way that I'm kind of using limit orders now, resting limit orders. NinjaTrader doesn't allow me to do it like if like I can do it with Sierra chart or multi-charts. It kind of sucks that Sierra chart is like the only real platform that I have availability to without paying a whole lot of extra money right now to with this much functionality to trade like I want to. I haven't found another platform as good as Sierra chart. But anyway, so right now we're kind of seeing we had a lot of sell off overnight, and I don't know if I'm going to take another trade actually, because it's not the best thing to trade with all this lag. Not going to get the best feels and all that stuff. But right now we're seeing a little bit of dumping some of that, or getting rid of some of getting rid of all the inventory that was collected overnight, especially off that PCE economic news. Right now we're looking at a supply response at 220. We also got MSRP there, or at 1220. Excuse me. Picking up some quick inventory in a nice little 10-point range at 1210. Make sure I got the right read on my direction based off the way that I would trade it. Right now, from my perspective, I could see the possibility for about 50 We're about 50-50 with where the market could go from here, from the way that I'm reading it. Stop trying to drink in the mic. I have like this tea regimen that I'm on right now. I gotta drink this tea every morning. Right now we got an inventory. We're gonna drop the inventory. You can see that over the last couple of minutes we were slowly dropping the inventory. Right, nice little slingshot. Off of that, we should for sure continue to see a supply lift. Now, how far that goes, that's, you know, it could go another 10 points, or it could go another 2 points, or another 200 points. But, you know, the way that slingshot came in there, we still see some continuation. You know, just the big question mark is how far can it actually go? And we got a big volume gap above 1250 that I'm keeping my eye on. We did get that mechanical inventory response off of the 12,000 hold number. Nice little front run of that 1250. Getting a supply response almost mechanically to 1240. Well, it was a mechanical response, but they gave us a little wiggle room up there, for lack of better words right now. Last slight inventory response was right here where price is at 1220. Let's see what we hold there. It wasn't strong enough to really entice enough buyers to really, you know, be interested in that area. We're coming back down strongly to our last main inventory point off of that 12,000 hold number. Mechanical inventory response off of MSRP. Looks like we got some participation interest here at that whole number area. Did I get a partial fill? I did get a partial fill. Not cool. Continuing to drop the inventory. Also, kind of just taking an awareness to where VWAP is. VWAP is, we're far away from VWAP. VWAP is at 1280 if they decide to ever take price back there. I would expect VWAP to continue to, gravitate towards price throughout the session. Still dropping inventory. Like we're interested in picking up some cheap inventory for this A period. Matter of how cheap do they want to go. Taking us all the way down to the session low. This should definitely entice some more shorts to come and some more selling to come in. But we're also going to have buyers down here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a sort of a battle. There's a slight drop of the kind of pausing. after lowering the session low. Starting to see some follow through. Got our inventory response here at 958. It's clear to see. That's where our session low is now. My computer's still acting weird. It's setting up for a potential look below and fail. We don't have it yet, it's just the potential is there. Participation does appear to have slowed down. Even though I'm not reading a strong participation at all this morning. Just now at 190K traded. Also, there is economic news at the transition to B period. I think it's like a home sales, new home sales or something like that. Something to also be aware of, just as a potential for a volatility spike. Now, right now we're kind of trading inside of automation, negotiating around the low of this automation. Back at our previous, or at our overnight session low. That battle that I was kind of, I hit the wrong button. I got a little bit of my PC speed back. I had to turn off one of my screen recorders that records my, my live, my actual, like my main trading screen. But it was just fine like last week when I was trading with NinjaTrader, so it has to be multi-charts that's slowing things down. Plus the fact that I'm live streaming and, so like normally during the week, I'm actually running both screen recorders. And everything is just fine usually for the most part. But I guess also adding in live streaming with this slows things down too much. So I'm not going to be able to record my trades the way that I would want to. Alright, there's a nice little inventory response. This is where we'll see if we're going to actually get that look below and fill, in my opinion. Doesn't necessarily have to play out here. We can continue to battle, or we could go back the other way. That was a pretty strong inventory response from just low participation, not really moving anywhere, a lot of negotiating. So we're gonna come back inside of that little shop there near the overnight session low. We're starting to, looks like we are getting a response, an inventory response, picking up some inventory off that overnight session low again. But we still are kind of running out of supply. Nice little mechanical response there off automation. Another inventory response there off automation. We're still getting that supply response, but we're still in this battle phase. Got a nice little shop range between, let's say, roughly 983 to about 964. Didn't really get anything there, but I want to be flat. With the way that this is trading, I want to be flat coming into that news. Wholesale could be positioning here. So we're still mechanical. It shows me there's a lot of algos at play here. A nice mechanical response off of one of my automation points, or MSRP points, up there at 996. Got about 2 minutes and a half to go for a B period. Just as a mental note to myself, I would have got out. Funny how they played out, because I would have actually had to close that trade in the same place. So if I would have just, if I would have just, not had the time thing at play there, which is why I closed it the first time. Time in conjunction with the price action. So that's kind of a audible there that I called. But if I would just stuck completely to the way the strategy is set up and the original plan, I would actually ended up getting out at the same place. But if we break this, I'll be looking at this 970 area, because the way that traded, that gives us a significant point to see if we're going to find cheaper inventory. But we do have a few old inventory zones to fight through, or that other participants can use. Whether that's buyers or sellers, both of them can use it. Which, there we go. We got to solve that old inventory area at 964. We did get another inventory response there. So even if, with it breaking that 970 area, that's, was significant from my perspective, right? In my opinion, it's still not going to be smooth selling by the way this is trading right now. So we got like less than 30 seconds to see how much our participants care about 10 o'clock. Mainly wholesale is what I'm looking at, of course. There's a transition. There's some strong volatility response, which is why I like to be flat. It doesn't always happen this way. I think actually, from a percentage wise, it's actually low percentage that from what I've witnessed lately of having this kind of response. But that low percentage can be significant, so I like to just be flat. Still haven't really made a deal yet. And by make a deal, I mean we haven't picked a trending direction yet. Still got this back and forth negotiating type of thing going on. So we did set supply there at 980 in that 1 minute period. But it's a wide supply range between 980 and like 992. Also keeping in mind, that was a pretty, just off that volatility spike, there was a pretty strong inventory response. I would actually like to be out of this before I would take anything. even though that's not how, has nothing to do with consistency. I put it that way. But the waters could be rough in this like 960 to 990 range. Let's see if we get the inventory drop. Got some participation building there at 960. Another inventory response. Not done with the zone yet though. What I would like to happen, I have a way of measuring rotations. I would like for us to actually, at some point, they always bring price back to VWAP. So what I would like to happen is to stop playing games down here and actually take us into some supply, give us a rotation. Just by my read. And actually follow through with this look below and fail. And this is like, usually look below and fails, they tend to happen a little bit quicker. But there's no time restriction that it has to happen in. They can do what they want to do, however they want to do it. However, at the end of the day, they're only moving price up and down. So it's binary from that standpoint, but how they go about doing that, there's a lot of variations, which, that's what creates the difficulty with trading. But at the same time, there is a limitation to what they can do, even though they have a big range to play in, but there's a limitation. For how they can move price around, because wholesale is the main factor moving this price around, but they have customers to sell, so it's not completely at their discretion, or they have customers to serve, so it's not completely at their discretion. So we're still playing around in this range here that we've been in for like the last maybe 15 to 20 minutes. It's been a while. Typical Friday price action. Not surprising here. Even if I would have been trying to take every single trade, I still don't have any. I haven't had any, really good setups yet. From a hindsight capital perspective. Kind of brings to mind the whole A+ setup thing that I hear people talking about a lot. And I'm just gonna say I don't know how I feel about this whole A+ setup to this, just because I don't like what actually measures an A+ setup. I hear people talk about it, and it's all, of course, it's subjective. Every time I hear someone mention an A+ setup, they never say what their A+ setup is, so it leaves for those new traders, like I have what I can kind of recognize as an A+ setup, and that would be, if price is trending, I will get a pullback to one of my initiation zones, right? Which is going to be inventory or supply. See, I can be specific with what my A plus setup would be if I was to have one. But from that perspective, how much of an A plus setup is it really if it still has the same opportunities to turn into a loser as the other ways of trading? Yeah, technically there is a statistical edge over the other ways that I have to trade, but the losing opportunity is still there, and you don't know when that loss is going to come. So I can take a series of losses, and then this A plus setup, I can take a series of losses with non A plus setups, and then this A plus setup can come and I can take another loss. Now, if I zoom out and look at big picture, let's just say over the last 10 trading periods, that A plus setup, that quote unquote A plus setup worked out, let's say 70% of the time. But in terms of me now in this drawdown period where I didn't get the A plus setups and I took losses and I finally got one and I took it and I still took another loss. In that moment, just going off of human emotions, it's not gonna feel, you're not gonna feel the same way about that A plus setup, right? And at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade a non A plus setup any differently than I would trade an A plus setup. So the risk is always going to be the same. If it's a trade that I'm supposed to take, the risk is going to be the same. And those non A plus setups actually do work. So for me, what I found to actually be better is just to look at all setups the same and just maintain the same risk management. I don't really weigh any setup the way that I'm trading. Now, other people have their own styles of trading, so it could be different. But like I say, they never go into what their setup is and what they're looking for in detail. So I have no way of knowing like if the value of what they're saying. They're just saying things that a lot of other people say. Yeah, just a quick, trader trigger. Been holding on to that one for a minute. So with all that being said, it's been 50-50 today, so it wouldn't have, even my quote unquote A plus setups wouldn't have been that great. Just because of the way that they're moving price around, the kind of price action that we're getting to create the structure that's being created off of that. It's another, almost triggers me into another thing to where how people use the term price action when they're really talking about structure. Because, we're going to use words with purpose here. Price action, you actually, that you got to take that word seriously. It's the action of price. So you can't look at just a historical print and call that price action, that structure, because there's no action in it. It's already printed, it's done, it's not moving. Now you can go back and look inside of what created that, and you can run a replay and you can see the price action that created that. But that's not generally what a lot of people are talking about. Generally, they're talking about structure when they say the word price action. And the clear way to hear it is when they say price action, and in the same sentence, in the same, energy, they're also saying supply and support and resistance. So support and resistance, those are structural terms. How price reacts to that restriction, that's price action. Now in their minds, kind of just looking at this in multiple ways since I'm not trading here. And we're at the end of my trading window. I'm just going to take the day as a red day. It's all good, it happens. Looking at the other side of that from those who use these terms kind of recklessly. They could be trying to refer to how price reacts to those support and resistance areas. But like I said, most people don't go into context. They don't go into details, so they leave off the context. And if that's what they mean, a lot of times they're trying to invite people to go to to join their groups, or buy the course or whatever. So they leave off information to kind of leave that that mystery there, or to continue watching more videos on their channel, so they don't give you everything at one time. And I think at this point, like, these things have been put out so much that you need to promote yourself in this certain type of way that a lot of people, I don't even think they even realize what they're doing anymore. Not everybody. Some people are intentional with what they're doing. They will intentionally put out partial information to try and entice people to get into whatever they're trying to promote. And then once they get into the actual program and they start getting the questions, then they can kind of go into more details with the questions. It's not a bad thing that they're doing, right? It's more so, kind of attracting those people, those clients that they want to work with on a more maybe one-on-one or one-to-many type of style. And then they can go into more detail when it's in a more, intimate setting, when they can specifically answer those questions. But when you're trying to find those people, the common practice is to build curiosity. So that your ideal client can join whatever it is that you're trying to promote. So I'm only saying all that to say that's probably why a lot of other traders don't, that's other influencers or creators on YouTube or whatever other social media platform. It's probably why they don't give a lot of context to what they're talking about. That's one side of the coin. There's another side of the coin, which I have witnessed, is that there's people out here giving advice and telling people how to do what they do without even a deep understanding of what they do. Now, there's other people, like one that podcast that I watched last night, where the guy he has this credit program. But counter to everything that I just, laid out there, one thing I liked about him is that he did go into context with what he was talking about, like where he actually brought out the different laws and regulations and how that applies to what he was saying. He actually gave evidence, and he encouraged his interviewer to ask him for evidence. Those are the kind of, teachers, influencers, whatever you want to call them. Those are the kind of people that I actually like to, vibe with more. If you can give more context and do what you're talking about, and not just putting out blanket ideas that just, tend to actually create more confusion than clarity that people can actually use and take, true value from. Now, value is subjective, so you also got to throw that disclaimer in there. Sometimes somebody may have enough of information, all they need is that blanket information, and that'll take them to the next level. That'll be valuable for them. So all that comes back to what? It comes back to you, and why I strongly encourage people to do everything whatever you're trying to do, whether it's trade or start a business or even, excel in your 9-to-5, do it from within. So while I was going into all of that, we haven't really seen much of anything. It's still low participation. They get a nice little inventory drop there around 10:06, but now we're in this little tight range, this tight 20-point range between 960, that 960 area again, now serving as supply, and we're slowly dropping the inventory. And the thing about it, this can continue throughout. You know, it can continue for a long time. We don't have a lot of participation here. It'd be healthy to see like a push or a run in either direction to kind of get us out of this box here, this low participation box. In hindsight, there were a lot of scalping opportunities there, but there has been a lot of scalping opportunities. Yeah, but that's hindsight. Hindsight is always 20/20. And I did have some technical difficulties this morning. I like to be not so aggressive when I'm having technical difficulties. One of those technical difficulties actually resulted in me taking a bigger loss than I normally would have or should have. But it's all good. There's another day. We'll you know. It's not the end of the world. I think overall for the week, I'm still green. I have to go back and look at it, but it doesn't even matter. This is one day. And this wasn't the easiest type of environment to trade just because of the low participation for me. I'm not gonna take that trigger, but now we are starting to see a decent supply lift. Waiting for the follow through, if it's gonna come, or is it gonna turn into a slingshot? Are we just gonna keep negotiating in these smaller ranges? Only time will tell, but I'm gonna have to come back and look at that later and go ahead and wrap things up for the day. I appreciate everybody that came through. Hope you had a good week. A much better week than I did, even though the week was fine. It's just the day that wasn't with all the technical stuff. But anyway, enough of that. Hope you have a good weekend. I appreciate you all for coming through. And until the next one, trade it easy.